Yeah, so the way I got into design is kind of like a roundabout way. I actually a long time ago I did a degree in computer science and philosophy, which is like one of those mad degrees that only exists in British universities. And I I after that I was like looking for jobs and I joined a computer science like a programming digital agency. And while I was there, I was like, actually, the thing I don't want to be doing is coding and doing lots of just filling out like programming what other people tell me to do. I want to be more involved in the like designing it and like having a go at that. And I was really lucky at that job to have a mentor who knew loads about UX and kind of taught me everything on the job. So that's kind of how I like professionally became a UX designer. But actually, now that I call myself a designer, I think back to like when I was a kid and I was like 11 or 12 and I was on like cracked Photoshop making like posters and making little memes for my friends. And I like now I tell my friends that I'm a designer and they're like, yeah, obviously it took you so long to realize that's what you should be doing. I've worked on some really cool projects. I was very fortunate to work with a company based in Oxford here in the UK, and they make DNA sequencing tools and software and machines. And the reason I can talk about this now is because I think it's now been released. It's like available for the public to like inquire about. And it's like a really cool, massive liquid handling robot, which means it's a robot. It's like the size of like a table, and it's got a big robot arm in the middle, and it like moves around liquid samples in order to prepare something to be DNA sequenced. And then it goes off and it prepares the sample and then it does the DNA sequencing, and then you get an answer for like some kind of question you're asking. But I was involved in like I didn't design I didn't design any of the machinery. I didn't design most of the software, but I was involved at a really early stage to do a bit of user research about like how do people interact with similar liquid handling robots? What are the pain points they have? Like, and we came up with all this like interesting user interface stuff about like how to load stuff in and how to know when it was complete and like walking you through a process. So that's like one of the most cool things I've ever done. Yeah, so the thing I think I'm really excited about, and again, this is quite a techie thing to talk about, is and it's kind of boring. I'm sure everyone's talking about AI right now. The like AI, which is letting people build products and software and experiences that would normally have taken, a team of 10, 2 to 3 years to build. I have friends who are like building stuff and putting stuff together as like individuals or as a couple of people, and they do it in like 4 or 5 months, something that would genuinely have taken like a few years to do. So in my own life, I'm like constantly just trying out stuff, tinkering with stuff, trying to make stuff. Like, I don't really like using the AI stuff for designing or even for like, I know some people are using in Figma, there's a thing called First Draft where you just get it to give you some boilerplate wireframes. I think that's really bad because it kind of sets you down a direction. I much prefer the like classic go out, do loads of research, make a massive mood board, put loads of stuff on a canvas, but where it is really useful is then once I've got something I like, is turning that into code, turning that into a prototype, turning that into like something more finished or more higher fidelity than I previously would have been able to do as just a designer working with design tools. I don't know. I think like writing out your process is such an important part of like design process or like working through things by writing stuff out and like I said with the Figma stuff, like kind of collecting lots of sources of ideas and looking at what competitors are doing and trying to find inspiration from like other industries or other niches. I think that's such an important part of the process, that like collection and curation. And I think it's very easy to just go to ChatGPT and be like, give me 3 ways of doing this. And it's never going to be as good as doing the work for yourself. I did a thing where I tried out like over 25 AI design tools, and I basically gave them all the same prompt to try and I made it as detailed as possible, gave them all the same prompt to try and keep it as fair as possible when we came to like rank them and compare them. And all the top ones just basically gave us a very similar design. And we were like, oh, it's because it's using the same underlying AI model, but like it just had like no interesting creative spark. Oh, I don't know. I think I've known about Tally for ages. I think I heard about Tally when I was looking for a way of doing a type form, style form, which was, cheaper, and Typeform only lets you have like Typeform is really limited in the responses you can get. So yeah, I think I came across it a few years ago and just always had it in the back of my mind in case I ever needed something like that, which was, not like an ugly Google form or something like quick and internal, but for like a fun product idea or like something I was building by myself and wasn't like tied to a company or something. Yeah. The design is amazing. And I think so I'm using Tally right now on a landing page for an app I'm working on, which is a writing software for Android phones. And what's really cool about Tally is it just integrates really nicely to a website builder I'm using. It's a platform called Card. So it's quite a non-standard website builder. But Tally just gave me like, one click, export this, embed this code, just worked out the box, didn't need to configure anything. But the really cool thing I'm loving about it is it's got something called like leave intent. And I just saw this as like option and turned it on. And what it is if a user goes to close the tab or goes to switch to another tab, it like pops the form up. And I think it's so nice because it's like, hey, just before you go onto this 2 minute quick thing, and we'll get you on the like wait list for the beta. And I've seen like such an increase in respondents. It's been really useful for like the reason I had this form is both to like collect users' information for a wait list, but also to do a bit of like product research and be like, hey, if you were to use this app, how much would you pay? What kind of apps are you currently using? Are you using different writing softwares in different places? And it's just like, it's kind of amazing that I can like, it's completely free. I can just drop it into this website and embed it and get all this like really, really useful feedback without having to do any work. It just like works.